You know that voice inside your head, Ben? The one that speaks your native language?
Oh, yeah. That voice is the ultimate slow-down button when I try to speak English. It demands an instant translation service.
Exactly. That voice is the mental barrier stopping 90% of learners from achieving fluency. We call it mental translation.
Mental translation. It sounds so professional, but it's really just my brain saying, hold on, I need to convert this simple thought into 3 complex steps.
Precisely. The process goes 1. Think in your native language. 2. Translate the thought into English grammar rules. 3. Speak the English words. By the time you reach step 3, the conversation has moved on.
It completely kills the flow. I lose my thought, I lose the rhythm, and I just end up saying, wait, that delay is the ultimate confidence killer.
It is. And the impact goes beyond just speed. It also damages accuracy and naturalness.
How does it hurt accuracy? I thought translating was the safest way to ensure correctness.
You're translating structure, not meaning. Your native grammar and idioms don't map perfectly onto English. You end up with phrases that are grammatically correct, but sound totally unnatural to a native speaker.
So I sound stiff and awkward, even if the dictionary says the words are right. I'm thinking like a machine, not a person.
Bingo! You're using a translation filter. If you want to master the language, you have to bypass that filter entirely. You need to train your mind to go direct.
Go direct. That sounds like a terrifying leap. How do I even start thinking in English when my brain defaults to my native language every time I open my mouth?
It's a process, not a switch. You start small. The first step is acknowledging where the barrier is strongest. Which moments make you translate the most?
Probably when I'm under pressure. In a job interview or when talking to someone important. When the stakes are high, my brain defaults to the strongest, safest language.
Fear is a major translation trigger. So the initial training isn't about speaking. It's about lowering the stakes on internal thoughts. You start by assigning English to the most low-stakes, automatic thoughts of the day.
Low-stakes, automatic thoughts. Like what I'm going to eat.
Perfect. Or what you're seeing, or what you're hearing. You turn your brain into a silent, personal English narration machine. We call this internal monologue training.
Internal monologue training. I like the sound of that. It sounds secretive and effective. But how do I stick with it? It sounds tiring.
You have to make it a game, not a chore. You have to commit to consistency, which we will discuss more in the next part. So, let's turn this internal monologue training into practical methods. The goal is to build an English folder in your brain that opens automatically without passing through the native language filter.
How do I force my brain to create that folder?
You use visual association and labeling. You start with the most basic, concrete objects in your immediate environment.
Like the chair, the lamp, the microphone? I just name them in English.
Exactly. You look at the chair and you don't think, kursi. You think, chair. You attach the English word directly to the object, bypassing the native word entirely. This is called direct labeling.
So I'm creating a direct visual-verbal connection. That makes sense. It bypasses the need for the translation step.
Right. And you do this all day, every day. Label the clock, the fridge, the pavement. Then you move to actions like, I am standing. She is walking. The phone is ringing.
That's a powerful micro-habit. It turns the whole world into a flashcard deck.
It does. And the next level is sentence narration. You narrate your day internally using short, simple sentences, not complex philosophy, just basic observation. The water is boiling. I need to leave soon. This coffee is too hot.
So I'm building fluency by being boring? I love it.
Being boring is key to automation. It trains the brain to construct basic English sentences without effort. And I think this is a perfect time to remind everyone that if you are finding these practical methods useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to MA English. We appreciate your effort in mastering this language.
Absolutely. Subscribe and join our fluency journey. Now, how do I go from simple labeling to expressing complex abstract ideas? Like, what if I need to think about my feelings?
That's the advanced step. You need a dedicated space, which is English journaling. This forces you to generate complex thoughts directly in English.
Journaling is hard enough in my native language. Doing it in English feels like homework.
Make it easy. Don't write about your deepest fears. Write about the movie you watched, the argument you had with the self-checkout machine, or your opinion on traffic. It's low-stakes opinion practice.
Low-stakes opinion practice. I can do that. It trains my brain to structure complex opinion-based sentences before I have to deliver them under pressure.
Precisely. You're creating a massive database of ready-made phrases and structures in English. When you finally speak, you're not translating, you're retrieving.
So the entire training method is about filling that English folder until retrieval is faster than translation. It's an efficiency game.
It is. And the final, most crucial element is consistency and dealing with setbacks. So the final stage is pushing past the initial discomfort and achieving what we call automaticity. That's when thinking in English becomes the default, not the effort.
Automaticity. That's the dream. What is the biggest obstacle that prevents people from reaching it?
It's self-correction. When you think or speak and make a mistake, your brain immediately jumps back to your native language to analyze the error. This pulls you right back into the translation loop.
I do that all the time. I get stuck debugging my own sentences mid-conversation. So, what's the trick?
You need the forgive and forget principle. When you make a mistake, you must ignore it and move forward. You correct the mistake later, during your dedicated study time. In the moment, speed and flow are everything.
Ignore the mistake. That goes against every instinct I have as a learner.
That instinct is your enemy in this case. True fluency is about embracing mistakes as part of the process. If you pause, the flow dies. Flow over perfection, every time.
Flow over perfection. That's liberating. Now, for the most advanced technique to truly master the language, concept immersion.
Concept immersion? Explain that one.
Instead of translating words, you force your mind to connect an English word directly to its concept. For example, when you see a chair, you don't think chair, native word, object. You think chair, function, sitting, material, wood. You're defining the concept using English, not translating it.
That is brilliant. You're thinking about the meaning layer entirely in the target language. That truly trains your mind to operate solely in English.
Exactly. You make English your operating system, not just a separate app. And this leads to true, fast, non-stop conversation.
This requires constant exposure. You need to make sure your input is also in English, reading, watching, listening. You have to literally feed your mind the language.
Agreed. The entire system is an ecosystem. You can't just practice one part. You need the internal monologue training, the journaling, the forgive and forget principle, and the concept immersion.
That's the full package for achieving automaticity. Find a moment every day for that internal monologue training. Start small, be consistent, and prioritize flow over perfection.
That's the key takeaway right there. Thank you for breaking down this massive mental challenge into actionable steps, Jenny.
My pleasure. Time to start listening to that voice in your head, but in English. And once again, thank you so much for joining us for this essential discussion. If you're still with us, please make sure you've hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat at the MA English Cafe.
We'll catch you next time.